I don't know how to describe it other than like a demon type of sound.
But it's silhouetted, hulking, every bit of 5.5 feet wide, 13 to 14 foot tall, pitch black.
The one thing that ran through my mind when I had this encounter was I don't have a big enough gun.
Your host, two-time witness and field researcher for more than 40 years, William Jevning. Welcome to Creek Devil.
Mary Fabian with us, and she's been at this topic for how long, Mary?
Well, let's see. Officially, about 7 years, but unofficially over 50.
There you go. That's what we want to hear. All right, so we've got Mary Fabian with us, and I just want to say I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the show. And I know we say it a lot, but we'll say it again. If you like the show, it really helps us out to let us know. Just click the like and subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And if you want to help support the show, we appreciate it. And we've got a link to Patreon in the description. You can actually support us for as little as $1 a month. And it's all support is much appreciated. Goes towards our research and getting the best information to you guys. So with that said, I'm going to hand the mic to Mary. And Mary, tell us a little bit about yourself and then some of the activity that you have experienced.
All right. Well, I am the founder of Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. It's my organization. We're primarily on Facebook. That's where we have our group. And we have over 17,000 members. And what we do is, my aim primarily was to learn more about the Bigfoot, gather information from other witnesses, and share, hopefully get everyone to share what they know, what they have, and that way we can all learn more from one another. And I've hooked up with other organizations, and we do share information among each other. And it's part of my motto, which is respect, share, learn more, and have fun. And I think that's the primary goal of the whole thing. But my history is that my first sighting was back in 1967, whenever I was a kid. And then
well, let's hear a little bit about that. And also before we get off the phone with you, I'm going to put a link to your Facebook in the description so people can not only view the show here, but they can also go over and take a look at your group. So that'd be great. So let's hear about your let's hear about that first. What you said it was 67?
Yes.
Oh, let's hear all about it.
All right. I was right around 10 or 11. No, wait a minute. No, I was 11 years old, and we lived on a farm. And at the back of the farm, there was a gas line, and I would hike along that gas line and, walk over to an area that, I enjoyed walking through, some of the woods, or else I'd go visit with a friend. It was a shortcut over to a friend's place. So this one day I was walking down that trail, and Western Pennsylvania, it's part of the Appalachians, and so we're all hills and hollers. Yeah, and I know that you would probably say hollow, but here we're known, we say holler.
I like it.
So I was heading downhill into the holler when across from me, on the right-hand side were the woods, and on the left-hand side was a field, an overgrown field. Out of the woods walked this Bigfoot is what I'm calling it now, but at that point in time, all I knew was, okay, what's this big hairy man wearing a fur coat in the middle of summer doing? And he was very big, very bulky, and completely hair covered, black hair. Although his facial features resembled Neanderthal, what we know as Neanderthal from the movies. And, it just stuck in my mind for decades, this wild man, I think is what my dad called them at that point in time. He told me about them. And, but I really, at that time, we really didn't know about Bigfoot. It was, the Yeti or the over in Russia, the Russian Sasquatch that they had over there.
Yeah.
And but we had no idea there was anything like that around Pennsylvania. So just that was my first sighting.
Let me ask you real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
You're a little girl. You're walking down. You see this thing. I got a couple questions. Number one, kind of how close was it? And number two, what were you feeling? What were you thinking when you saw this thing?
Well, he was approximately, going back on a 50-year-old memory, probably about 40 yards from me, directly across, the holler. And
that's 40 yards too close.
Right. But then for me, he wasn't threatening. All he did was look at me, and then he turned and walked on, into the field. He didn't act threatening. He didn't do anything. All he did was just stop, look at me, and then go on. So apparently I was of no threat to him, so he just went on about his business. And since he did nothing threatening to me, my attitude was, okay, it was just puzzlement. That, who's this guy wearing a fur coat, in the summertime? And that's all I thought of, until many, many decades later that I learned about Bigfoot being in the area. But,
Mary,
just
real
his
quick,
features.
I just want to ask real quick about, and you're in Western Pennsylvania, more or less?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of in a place of high activity, a lot of hot spots. Yeah. What about the lore, the local lore, the history? Is there anything like that where it kind of goes back in time that people have seen these things?
Yeah, there are old newspaper articles from the general area. I don't think anything directly connected with where I saw. But my dad was born in 1906, and he would talk to me about different things, unusual things, paranormal, and ghosts and UFOs, and then he mentioned, I do recall him mentioning the wild man, or the hairy man. And at that time I had no idea what the hairy man or the wild man was. It was just something else in the paranormal realm that he would talk about.
Yeah, no, I always find it interesting when people, it sounds like your dad just very matter-of-factly believed in their existence. He must have
Yeah.
known something.
He probably did. He just never shared anything in particular, about that with me. Unfortunately.
Right, yeah, exactly. So what were some of the other encounters or experiences that you've had with this?
Well, back in 2004, I married my husband and moved to an entirely different area. Well, about 50 miles north from where I previously lived. And we were a little bit further out in the country. And almost immediately activity began. My husband would work long hours and he's a heavy sleeper. So a lot of this he slept right through. But almost immediately something would bang on the wall, the outside wall behind my head. And I would hear this garbled language, and what I know of as the samurai chatter. I didn't learn about the samurai chatter until a few years after that. But it would come by my house about once every 2 to 3 weeks, bang on the side of the wall, peek in the windows and scare my dog and make her react in a very frightened manner, which would startle me. And at first I was afraid of, what's going on, and I would sit out in the family room and late at night, and sometimes, he would come by the Bigfoot, he would come by and my dog would lay down facing the back door. So whenever he would be there, she would react in this certain way. She would give a very soft growl, mixture of a whine and a growl. And then she would back up, crawling, until she was huddled up against me, just shaking in fear, total terror. And of course, at first, the first few months of this going on, I was afraid. But after a while, I kind of got angry about it because my dog was a rescue. And I was pretty protective of her. And I didn't want her to feel fear anymore. So one night, she did that. She came huddling up against my legs, staring at the back door. And I had had enough. I jumped up, ran to the back door, grabbed a golf club that I had sitting there, opened the door and ran out after him. And I was hollering at him, saying, "You leave my dog alone." He just ran off.
I like that, though. You got some guts.
Yeah, I figured, he's a bully. Typical bullies are cowards. So, and I think that kind of psychology kind of spurred it on, along with my Irish temper.
There you go. I like it.
But yeah, this went on for about 12 years until we moved out. One day I did see him, though, a little bit clearer. I was sitting in the backyard and saw him peeking up over the wall behind our home. And all I could see, though, was the silhouette and the color of his hair because the setting sun was behind him. And so I really couldn't make out facial features. He was maybe about 25 yards away at that point in time. And but all I remember, though, noticing about his hair was that it was very pretty. It was like a reddish gold, and it sparkled in the sunshine behind him. And I thought, I wagged my finger at him, and I said, you leave my dog alone, you SOB. I see you. And but he ducked down and went away because he knew that I saw him.
Okay, so he acknowledged. He acknowledged you that you had. It sounds like. Did you make eye contact or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So he ducked down, and was that it? Did you see him running away, or?
No. It was a low wall on the other side. It was a golf course. The edge of the golf course property. The golf course itself was maybe another 100 yards away, but the wall was just the edge of the golf course property. And at that point, the wall was maybe 3 foot high, so he would have had to have been crawling.
And that's something we hear from time to time.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting. Golf course. There was one that was, I think there's a New York golf course where they actually had one of these things on there. It was seen, I think, more than once on their golf course. Mm-hmm. And now it's, they got I think, maybe somebody could correct me, but I think they actually have, when you come into the golf course, they've got a sign, a Bigfoot sign there. So.
Oh, cool.
I would love to see one of these things at the driving range, though.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, he'd have a pretty powerful drive there, I would think.
Right. That ball would finally come to a rest in Canada somewhere.
Yes. But I tell you one thing, he would use that area, that heightened area of right around the green. It was a little bit raised. And he would use that to call from, because late at night I would hear him whooping, and another one up over the ridge calling in reply. But he was pretty clear from there.
So you'd hear two of them talking back and forth, whooping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The calls would change, but on the most part, I would hear in the springtime what I assume would be a female calling, because it was a little bit higher pitched call, going from like a low, not really a low tone, but a lower tone up to a real high, high call. And,
okay.
I've heard recordings of it. I think Lord Cryptid has something similar on his YouTube channel that I recognized. Yeah. It's the same.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it's I've heard him screaming and barking and whistling, and very, very different. It's very unique.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Yeah. So this was about what year? When was this happening?
Whenever I saw him, let me think, that would have been right around 2007, 2008. I can't remember exactly. But this went on until, from 2004 until 2016, whenever we moved. We built a new home, maybe about 10 miles as the crow flies away from there, a little bit further out in the country.
Yeah. And what about the new home? Anything going on at that location? Or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's an entirely different troop over here. I saw the local one. Well, I found footprints around the foundation as we were building the house. And so I knew, there was little ones around. And then after the house was built, May 2017, I was sitting on my front porch enjoying the view and the warm sunshine. And there's a field across from us. And there's a wood line on the other end of the field. And this day, I'm just sitting there, and I notice 3 deer come out of the wood line, and they trotted down along the edge of the wood line and cut into a game trail at the bottom. And then behind them, here comes a Bigfoot, just walking, and he came directly behind them, following the same trail, same path, and cut in the game trail behind them. Now I saw him fairly clearly especially as he came down to the bottom, closer to me. But he was like a grayish brown, in maybe about 7 or 8 foot. But his build was very lean, like an athlete.
Okay.
He wasn't as bulky as the other one.
Might be a different type.
Yeah.
Were the deer? Do you think the deer were aware of his presence?
They weren't running in panic. They were just trotting down the hill. So, I guess they were where they were being pushed, but they weren't in a panic.
Okay. And no idea what happened to the deer after they disappeared out of sight, or?
No.
Okay. No, I'm always curious if it was maybe driving them towards where the others were to, get a meal out of them.
Very possible. The game trail that they cut into goes over into a lower valley on a completely different property. And at that time, I didn't know my neighbors, enough to be able to say, hey, can I go on your property and check things out? We were brand new there.
Right. Yeah, no, that's always the thing. Well, that brings up an interesting question, though. And you've been at your current property for what would you say, 2016 or?
2017.
2017. Okay, so about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got to know your neighbors, and has you ever had a conversation with anybody at any of your properties or anybody else in Pennsylvania where they say, yeah, we've seen them too?
Yeah, I've spoken with just about all my neighbors, the immediate neighbors, and a few of the other ones who live a little bit further out. And the ones right around me kind of deny knowing about them. The one has a pretty large farm, and he keeps what is kind of known as a booger light on at the back of his property, or back by his barn. But that could be to keep human thieves away also.
Yeah.
But then another neighbor contacted me and said, well, he showed me a photo that was of his deer stand, and hanging on his deer stand was a deer carcass, completely stripped of meat. It was just all bones and tendons just hanging there. It was maybe about 9 foot up. And he asked me about it. And so I consulted with some friends who were a little bit more experienced, and they suggested, and I kind of got the feeling also that it was more of a warning to stay away, that this is their hunting property, don't come here.
Will, I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. Have you ever heard of this before? Have you ever heard of deer carcasses hanging up in trees or deer stands?
Just a time or two.
We've got some pictures. Yeah. We don't know what it means. I mean, at least I don't. I don't know. Will, what are your thoughts?
Well, when we talked to Forrest, we were thinking baiting.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Because I've been out in the woods, and I sent you the picture of the pristine deer skull with the, it was basically something you could hang on the wall with I think it was a 6-point. Very nice looking deer skull, just out in the middle of the wilderness. No hide, no bones around, nothing like that. So they do strange things. All right, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mary, so keep going. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Baiting. What do you think would be the purpose to draw something else in?
Sure, you'd maximize your kill one deer hanging up, and you got all kinds of other predators coming in. You get maximize your food with little effort.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of coyotes around, a lot of those. And I have heard them killing a coyote.
Really? Tell us, give us a detailed description of that.
One night, let me think, it was right around 12:30 or so at night. I heard a Bigfoot call, and it was very obviously a Bigfoot and nothing else, give out a vocal. That got the coyotes going. And this was just up over the hill, the same hill where the deer went to on that game trail. I could hear where they were at. And the coyotes were just yipping and singing and going off, all excited. And then all of a sudden I heard a yip and silence. And I was in Land Between the Lakes a few years ago with Bear and Kumbo, and there was a coyote hunt there also, where the Bigfoot went after the coyote. And the following day, one of the members of our group found the coyote's body, and it was literally twisted like an old dish rag.
Yeah, that's pretty common. That's Will, you've even seen that. Where was it you or John Adams who saw it? The deer that was just snapped.
It was John that saw that.
Yeah. And they do it to trees as well. Sometimes they just snap them over, and other times they just wring it out. I've got a picture of one of those trees where it's just wrung like a cloth.
Yeah.
Like an old wash rag. And you wonder what did that?
Yeah, what would have the strength to do that? And the opposable thumbs to be able to do that. Although a friend of mine is a predator biologist up in Canada, and she did tell me that bears will twist trees up to 4 inches in diameter.
Did she say why?
Offhand, I can't remember, but I don't think she did say why. But that's what she told me. She worked for the Canadian Forestry Service. And
Yeah,
she
I'm
had
just
had
curious
Bigfoot
because I
buried.
can't see a black bear doing that, especially something up to 4 inches in diameter. I mean, that would that would really be something. We have black bears here in Oregon. They will scratch trees to mark territory, but yeah, I couldn't see them twisting one. That's interesting.
Yeah, that I don't know. For all I can go by is what she told me.
Right, exactly,
I don't know.
exactly, and that's a lot of what we deal with in this topic.
Yeah.
So, what other experiences have you had with these creatures? And the other question I want to ask is, it sounds like it's an ongoing thing.
Oh yeah.
What would be the most recent one that you had?
The most recent would have been. I was on an expedition into Oklahoma, and Chuck Schlubs was also
Chuck
there.
was there. Yep.
And he and I had a mutual sighting. We were in a pickup truck with 2 other people, and at a casino parking lot, of all places. And the other 2 people in the truck had never seen a Bigfoot. They were not very experienced. So as soon as we parked the truck, they got on their phones and, they do words with total strangers or whatever games that people play on their phones. I have no idea. But, Chuck and I, we were a bit more experienced, so we both knew that it doesn't matter where you're at, you always stay alert. And
exactly right.
Even in a casino parking lot.
Well, we do know that some of these Bigfoot seem to have gambling addictions. So, it makes sense, right?
I think it's more to the food in the dumpsters.
That's it. There you go. You nailed it. All right. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah, that's the Bigfoot buffet. They were known to go around and hang around that particular casino and raid the dumpsters because the employees were afraid to go out at nighttime because they knew the Bigfoot were out there. But anyway, about
really?
Chuck and I, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they, we're sitting in the truck, and, I'm sitting behind the driver, and Chuck was sitting in the front seat, passenger side. And, I'm just looking out the window, and he's looking out the window. And I saw this Bigfoot come running out from the side on the other side of the casino, run across this brightly lit parking lot. I think this was around 12:30 at night, past all the pickup trucks, and cross the 4-lane highway and into the woods on the other side. Chuck said, "Whoa, did you see that?" And I said, "Yeah, holy crap, I think it was a Bigfoot." And we...
Did it go to the garbage can?
I have no idea what it... Now, the dumpsters were on our side of the casino, so I don't know. It came out from the other end of the building. So I honestly have no idea what was over there. There were woods behind the casino and woods on the other side of the highway.
Wow.
But the one thing, whenever I got home, I was able to look it up on Google Maps. And, Chuck and I, we both agreed that it took the Bigfoot about 3 seconds to run from point A to point B. And so I was able to measure on Google Maps the distance from point A to point B. So I was able to estimate just about how fast he was running. And I estimated right around 52 miles an hour.
Very good for you. You're my type of gal. That's exactly what I did with the sighting that I had. I did a speed, time, distance calculation, and I was like, I had never seen anything. So how can it move that fast?
I know. They're amazing.
So this was at a casino in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay. And it's what you said, like 12:30 at night.
Yes.
Just running around. Probably had just feasted out on some scraps of surf and turf, and now he's heading back to the woods.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. Yeah, the security guard came out, and because she was wondering, why, because there were 7 vehicles out there parked in the parking lot, and we were staying at a few little things here and there. One night, we possibly had a couple visitors. One came up to the front porch and jiggled the front door. Another one came up the back porch, and one of them threw rocks at the side of the house maybe a little bit later during the night. And but then early on in that trip, I think the first day that we pulled in, I got out my Nikon and I was taking some just general shots around the area, around the cabin. It was in a very remote area with woods on the edge, very steep bluff at the back of it with a creek down below. And, I just took some general shots, general photos, to see the lay of the land. And I sent them back to my group, to let them know, okay, this is the area where I'm at. Well, one member of the group took a real good look at the photos, and he found one of the photos in particular. He said, "Hey, I think you should take a closer look at this. You may have something here." So I was still in Oklahoma, didn't have my laptop with me, but I was able to zoom in, enlarging it on my phone, and brought it up. And lo and behold, I could see 2 figures. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's a rock, maybe it's a stump, or a tree or something. So the next day, Chuck and I walked over to where that was. I was able to pinpoint the exact area where the dark figures were that we didn't know what was. So we walked over and found the exact spot, and there was no trees, no stumps, no rocks. It was just the edge of the bluff. So, looking at the photos, it's 2 figures with both sagittal crest-looking heads and very, very wide shoulders. And apparently they were laying over the edge of the bluff with just their head and shoulders above, watching me as I walked around taking photos. And unfortunately,
yeah.
You can't see anything very clear. You can't make out features. It's just 2 shapes, 2 figures there. Yeah, I wish that I could make out features on it, unfortunately, but no.
Well, Mary, that's interesting though, because actually there's a lot of photographs. Will has one. I've got some where you're just taking pictures. You're not trying to get these things. You're just taking pictures, and it's sometime later that somebody else brings it to your attention. Hey, take a look at this. Like, wow. Yeah. Will's got one that is absolutely phenomenal. And Or I don't think he's going to share it. I don't blame him, but it's the same type of thing, just taking a little picture of trees and, oh, what's that?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, about the only other picture I have is I took it about 7 years ago in a local state park. I was hiking down a trail when all of a sudden I just got a sudden sense of fear. And, the area wasn't scary looking or anything. And, but I just felt fear, if I went any further, the more I walked, the more intense the fear became. And I figured, okay. So I brought up my phone and took a bunch of photos, like in a 90-degree arc, and backed away and went back to my vehicle and left. Whenever I got back home, I brought up the photos on my computer, and I was zooming in, and possibly, I could make out a face in the Y of a tree, and it would have been a little one. Unless it's, pareidolia on my part, I don't know, but, I can make out a face, and that's about it.
Well, right, and that happens. Let me ask you this, because that has always fascinated me. How and where, what's the mechanism that causes this external fear to come in? You don't necessarily have to have the answer, but I just find it interesting that I've experienced, it wasn't fear so much as just, my wife and I were in an area and it just felt weird. Again, going back to this cop that I know up in Washington said, it feels like you just walked into a graveyard at midnight. I said, that's kind of what it was. And I'm just kind of a practical guy. I'm just trying to think, how does it get projected? I don't know.
I know I've been what they call zapped infrasound before, and it's affected me in different ways. I think out in Oklahoma, I felt an intense migraine come on all of a sudden, and then it went away. Upset stomach, and just discomfort, general discomfort, disorientation in different areas that I've gone into. But occasionally I will go into an area, and again, it's the area doesn't give off a scary feel, but then you'll feel that emotion, you'll feel that sudden hit of fear or terror.
Yeah. And I've wondered if that would be a practical explanation, is
infrasound. That's the only thing that I can think of. And speaking with, Tim Kumbo Baker, that's pretty much what I think that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I experienced that. It was extreme disorientation. Actually, I felt like I just had an instant case of the flu. And just, it was really something. So, okay, well, listen, Mary, I really want to thank you for coming on the show, and I'm really hoping we can have you back as a guest in the future at some point.
Absolutely, because I haven't finished all my sightings.
Well, we got to do that. We're out of time, so we are going to have you back on shortly. In the meantime, I believe you have my email address. If not, I'll give it to you once we stop recording. And send me as quickly as possible so I can get it in the description. the Facebook
right.
address so people can come and visit you and see what kind of stuff you have, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we welcome members from all over the world. We welcome everyone, as long as, even skeptics, as long as they're respectful.
Okay, excellent. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap it up at this point. And again, I thank you for being available, especially on such short notice. So, yeah, I've got a hunch we're gonna be talking again in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope that everyone come on and join my group, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
And that's on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you so much. And it's Sunday afternoon, so have a great afternoon. And we're getting close to, I think it's your dinner time. So
yes.
I'll let you go and get that taken care of.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Mary. Have a great day. Take care.
You too.
Yep. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creek Devil. If you or anyone you know has had an encounter with these creatures, please contact us at williamjevning@yahoo.com. That's William, Jevning, @yahoo.com. All communication is confidential. Join us for another program next week. And until then, keep your eyes open out there.